Welcome to Deck Talk, where you will be prepared. Deck Talk is a show where I bring on deck creators, players, pros, commentators, or anybody I think is special. They come on, bring a deck, and we talk about it. So, for today's episode of Deck Talk, I went all the way to Germany. I found a legend in the community. This man is the progenitor of every single aggro deck ever made. He gave us the Mage Aggro. He's #1 in Deutschland, and in my heart, Moon!
Oh man. Hello guys. I'm Moonstar, previously known as Moon. Thanks for your kind words. I'm blushing.
Wow, your
And
face
thanks
is so red.
yeah, it is right. And thanks for the invitation. Thanks for having me on this great show. I'm excited to be here. And yeah, as I said, I'm Moonstar, previously known as Moon, and I play Hearthstone since the beginning stages of Alpha with my community back then, Mana Grind, and also my team back then, my competitive team later on.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, yeah, I was always sticking to Mage. I always tried to make Mage to work because I like to bring decks to work that are actually underwhelming. And Mage back then was an underwhelming class.
It still kind of
In
is, but
it still is. It's right. It still is, and it was an underwhelming class during the beta times. Um, and then there was one patch where they changed a couple of mage cards, and also a patch before they changed Fireball from 5 mana to 4 mana. And then the big patch was when they changed Frostbolt from 3 mana to 2 mana, and they changed Sorcerer's Apprentice from 2/2 to 3/2.
all right.
And that was the time where I came up with the so-called Moon Mage Aggro deck that I played 1 week straight in ladder, and then also picked up a couple of tournaments and actually had great success back then. Like won couple tournaments and came like second or third, and
Right.
and the cards in the deck then actually went quite popular in other aggro decks as well. Maybe you
Now,
want to touch on that.
well, actually, yeah. See, the thing is, once you came out with this deck and you did well with it, I was running a lot of the tournaments. I was doing a lot of the afterwork with it, collecting deck lists and posting them up and things of that nature. And what I started noticing was like mage, 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 and it stopped being mage. It was moon, 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 moon. Damn you, moon, moon, moon. You are a freaking cancer. Druid. Oh my god, a druid. You know, it was like that whole shock factor. It was like, oh, wow, finally something that isn't this deck. And it was like, oh, man, trying to grind on the ladder. And back then, the ladder was a lot simpler, I might add, with Grandmaster. Well, actually, you couldn't even get to Grandmaster, could you? It's like Master
uh,
3-star.
yeah, exactly. You could go like Master 3-star or something back then.
Right, right. So, I mean, it was a lot easier. But we were seeing a lot of the same thing. Moon, 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 moon. And Hunter OTK was still around.
Yeah, that's true. That was around 100 OTK. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually one of the only things that really screwed with you.
Yeah, it's true.
So, anyway, from there, we had 3 core cards. Shattered Sun Cleric, Dark Iron Dwarf, and Defender of Argus. These were really super strong cards. This is why Blizzard nerfed them later. But
Yep.
they ended up making their way into a bunch of other classes to make other aggro decks. Most successful of this would be Warlock, later
Yeah.
renamed something that I refuse to say anymore. So, but yeah, Warlock was probably the most successful to adapt that same 3-card principle and make it work with their setup because they didn't have to worry about draw, hero power for the loss, and they didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about big burst because Soulfire
Those
and
3 cards are
Doomguard.
still staple in Warlock. Yeah.
They really are. They really are. You really can't get around it.
Hmm.
All right, so
But Blizzard cannot change them further. Like they are fine.
all
Those
right,
cards are fine.
okay. So now, Moon, you brought us another mage deck. It's a tournament for those deck elimination tournaments where you can ban a class. So let's look at it, because it's also a mage.
Exactly. Yeah, the idea was actually that I really wanted to bring a mage deck again to the community or to the game and so on. Like I came up with the deck when I came back from Gamescom. That was the time when I came up with the deck. But it has its weaknesses, and the weakness is unfortunately it's Hunter. So it's not really made for the current ladder. I would not recommend playing it in ladder that often. I mean, you can obviously try it and prove me wrong. Yeah, sure, but I created it in like deck elimination tournaments where you can actually ban a hunter, because then this deck is really strong against decks like Druid or against decks like Rogue, because Druid has such a big problem removing like water elemental. They sometimes silence it. They play like their weak keeper of the grove compared to the water elemental, and just to get rid of this huge effect. Like this effect is just so potent against weapon classes and against classes like Druid, as I said.
Yeah, Water Elemental is really great. I mean, against Control Warrior, locks them down. They can't use their weapon. Against Rogue, can't use their weapon. Druid, pretty much, have a nice day. All you're going to get is the 1 armor from your hero power. Even against Hunters, it's kind of annoying because it locks that Eagle Horn bow down.
Also against Paladin, like what are they supposed to do? You drop it turn 4, well, have fun with your True Silver champion. You cannot kill the Water Elemental. It has 6 HP. Have fun. Like it's such a good 4-drop, you know. Like 6 HP is really potent, and rogues have to invest so much to actually kill it. They have to invest like a backstab, eviscerate, or they don't really want to sap it, because like if they sap it, then the Sludge Belcher comes down, or Water Elemental comes just back down again, and they have the same problem. So it's a potent threat for these classes.
It really is. It really is. All right, so. Now, the deck has a lot of interesting synergies to it. Now, we're going to break this down via the classes that we mentioned here. So, let's talk first with the most important matchup that I think of the strongest deck, and that's the Warrior Control matchup, aka Wallet Warrior.
Yeah. Warrior is really strong, but you still have a lot of like early game drops and so on, and you have your mad scientist. You will most likely get, most of the times when I play against Warrior, I get like a Acolyte Mirror Entity, and you're fine with that. Like you draw cards, because this deck does not have that much card draw.
Right.
As you can see, like it only has like Loot Hoarder and Blood Mage Finals to actually draw cards, and then duplicate to fill back your hand basically.
And let's not forget about Mad Scientist, which could pull in the duplicate or pull in the mirror entity. So it's got a lot of functionality. It does speed up the deck, though. It really does.
It does. It really does.
So, I mean, really, it's an unconventional way of speeding up the deck. I mean, because this deck doesn't run any Arcane Intellects, which is kind of like, you know, oh my god, to everybody who plays Mage.
If you look at other Mage decks, they all play Arcane Intellects and most likely also Azure Drakes. And the thing is with Arcane Intellect, it's like a late game card, because you don't really want to drop it on turn 3 or something. You want to have it in late game to fill back your hand. But this deck, I felt, has a really good mana curve, and therefore you don't really need that much card draw if you mulligan right as well. You also have to mulligan right, and then you have actually really good mana curve, so you have really strong turns every turn.
Now the mana curve is pretty decent here. You go 2, 6, 6, 7, 4, 3, 2. It's very similar to what we would see in a Paladin.
It's true. It's a bit weak in the 3 ranks, as you can see. Like it has only like 1 minion, if you say so. It has only the Kirintor Mage, but you can count in Mirror Entity as well, which is also one synergy of the deck. Like if you play Kirintor Mage and Mirror Entity, then you can follow it up with a Defender of Argus if your opponent played something to make efficient trades, or Mirror Entity on its own. Even like your opponent plays a Harvest Golem, and you have a Defender of Argus follow-up, you can trade your opponent's Harvest Golem, for example. Stuff like that.
Let's move on to another class here. Druid, because there's viably 2 really good Druid builds out there. There's the Fast Token Druid, and there's Ramp, which we're not seeing as much Ramp, but it's still viable. It still does happen. So how does this handle against Druids in general?
I think it's pretty good against Druids, because you have against these ramped up cards, you have things like Fireball and Polymorph. So you have 3 really good removal spells for like an innovated out Druid of the Claw, for example. So this is really good. And also you have your mirror entity. Like if they really don't want to innovate out a cairn, for example, when you have when you have a secret in play, then they think about do I actually want to innovate out this card now, you know?
Right.
And
if you catch a Cairn, then the next turn you play a duplicate and get more Cairns.
Stuff like that, yeah.
It's
or
like
you have
GG.
your Polymorph, maybe, depending, yeah.
Yeah, it's like GG Druid, I win.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's disgusting. So now against Druid, Mirror Entity can work throughout the spectrum because of Innervate, Wild Growth, and things of that nature, to where you can catch something really, really nice. Now, in case they bring out the big trees, you know, Ancient of War and Ironbark Protector, you actually have the Black Knight in here to deal with those.
Yeah, I have Black Knight because also to deal with such late game taunts. Also Tyrion, if you maybe didn't draw your Polymorph, then you can still Black Knight the Tyrion, and I actually very often run the Harrison Jones instead of a Kodo. Like this is the card that you can tag out.
Right.
It's the tag card. So Black Knight is a stable also because of Slut Belchers. There are a lot of Slut Belchers around, I have to tell you. You know it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're not too excited.
I abuse them a lot.
You are not too excited to Black Knight a Slut Belcher, but most of the times it's actually a pretty good answer.
Oh, yeah. I'd rather, like, Black Knight a Sunwalker. But when I have to Black Knight a Sludge Belter, I always feel bad about it. But I know it's the best choice. But I still don't like it.
It's depending on the current board state and how your tempo is during the matchup.
Right.
But yeah, if you really want to save it, but against Druids, you should not Black Knight a Sludge Belcher. You really should save it for Ancient of Wars or for Sunwalkers, because Druids most likely play that.
Oh yeah. Now let's look at the fast token Druid aspect of it. How's this going to deal with that? Because that's a totally different build.
That's true. It's a completely different build. But I think it's the Sludge Belcher is one thing that a lot of people like don't run. A lot of mage decks don't run. They run like Azure Drakes, and Sludge Belcher kind of stops these kind of token decks. It's a really potent taunt.
Yeah.
Like they have to invest a lot to get through it.
Yeah, because a swipe's not getting rid of it unless they power it up with, say, a Blood Mage Thalnos.
Exactly.
But even if they kill it, they still got the 1/2 they got to go through, and so that's at least another turn before they can do anything.
Yeah, and you have more taunt options even. Like you have Defender of Argus as an other taunt option. You can put up some decent taunts with this deck for sure.
And of course, there's the ultimate troll of Defending Argus, so Water Elemental, just for, you know.
Yeah, just to have this 4/7.
Yeah, it's a 4/7 taunt that if your guy hits it and it's not going to die, it's still not going to be able to do anything for a bit.
Yeah, and it also has this AOE, which I want to touch on a little bit, because most mage decks they only play like one Flame Strike or double Flame Strike, but I felt Blizzard and Flame Strike is better in the current meta game because of cards like Shade of Naxxramas and Spectral Knight, because those cards, they grow so strong, and or Spectral Knight is already a 4/6. It is already so strong that you or also lower tap, that you actually have to kind of stall the game with a Blizzard and then do a Flame Strike later on during the game when those minions are actually already cut down a bit.
Right. No, I completely agree. All right, so now let's get on to the third one that we're going to cover here. And I'm going to make this guest choice. Pick a class.
Sorry? Could you... sorry, you mean pick a class? Oh, I should pick a class, is what you say.
Pick a class.
Yeah, it's... Let's say Priest.
Okay, Priest. We're talking like the Amaz variant here?
Yeah, like with... Yeah.
Okay, so how's this going to handle against Priest? Because I've seen a couple things here where I see it could work, but I know Priest all too well. and they're gonna troll a
I
lot of
have,
this.
yeah, I have to say, I actually picked it because it's a weak matchup.
Yeah.
Hunter is its weaknesses, and Priest really is also its weaknesses. You can improve it a bit by like adding a Kodo, for example, which is now added in here because it's good against stuff like Deathlord. You kill the Deathlord, get a potent minion, maybe a Water Elemental, maybe a Sylvanas, depending. I mean, you could also only get like a Defender of Argus. That would be the worst case, kind of.
Well, yeah, Defender of Argus is definitely the worst. I think the second worst would be a Mana Worm, though.
Yeah, second worst would be Mana Worm.
Well, actually, no, not really, because then you could play some spells right behind it, and then it goes with the attack. So that's a little bit more viable.
Depending.
Like, maybe a Kirator Mage. Maybe a Kirator, because then you won't get the effect.
Yeah, and you cannot really play the spells behind it because the Kodo most likely comes down on turn 5.
Right.
If you want to counter a Deathlord. So yeah, I think maybe we want to touch on the weaknesses in general. Like I think Priest is a weak class against it.
Oh yeah.
Because they just have so much healing potential, and you cannot get your finisher burst. You cannot get your Pyroblast and Fireballs as a potent threat because they have stuff like Holy Fire to get out of those kill ranges.
Which, by the way, this deck right now does not show Pyroblast due to the fact that neither me or my producer could actually build this deck in its entirety. I had the most cards, and I just subbed in a Ragnaros because, well, he is fiery.
Exactly. So the slot for the Ragnaros is actually a Pyroblast for everyone. So you don't get confused.
Yes.
My bad. Yeah, and as I said, the other weakness is obviously a Hunter because of Flare, and because you will most likely not get really good value out of your mirror entity on turn 3 because they might have an animal companion, and then you don't get anything.
Animal companion
it's such
really
a huge it's such a huge tempo loss if you don't get a minion out of your mirror entity the next turn. It's a really huge tempo loss.
But if you play mirror entity instead on say like turn 6, you might actually catch the most likely turn 6 play for them, which is the high main.
Which is the high main. That's right.
That's a great grab, personally.
That's a great grab, but
the downside is on their turn they're just gonna kill command it and GG.
Yeah, or flare.
Or flare.
So that's the problem. Yeah, I mean some mages play counterspell to counter the flare. They play like a one-off counterspell, but I don't think it's that good because of coin, for example. And because they also sometimes want to stop a Miracle Rogue from finishing you with the Leroy Shadow Step combo with Counterspell, but if the Rogue just have a prep, exactly, then that doesn't work as well. So yeah.
Yes, lessons we learn on the ladder, people. All right. So
exactly.
All right, that's quite interesting. Yeah, those matchups are really interesting. Obviously, Hunter Priest are always going to be an issue.
Yeah,
which is funny because they tend to be the bane of a lot of classes, it seems, these days.
It's true. Yeah.
All
right. Maybe really short to make like some cards I also did consider was like Ironbeak Owl. Instead of the Blood Mage Thalnos, for example, or instead of the Loot Hoarder, I tried both. Because Ironbeak Owl Fireball can kill some nice stuff. It can kill a Spectral Knight, it can kill a Cairn completely. But it was too inconsistent because this deck does not run enough draw that you actually draw into the Ironbeak Owl when you need it. And therefore I changed it again.
Right. Also, Stampeding Kodo could be changed out for, say, a Harrison Jones.
Exactly. Yeah, I run very often Harrison Jones instead of Stampeding Kodo. But you have Water Elementals still, so you don't need to necessarily always remove the weapon if you can actually keep your Water Elemental as a potent threat. But I play very often Harrison Jones. This is more of a budget version, you could say, and it's a bit depending how you want, which kind of matchup you want to beat.
Now, if only there were more shamans that played that hammer, the Doom Hammer. Harrison Jones would be like, "Thank you. That definitely belongs in a museum."
You know? I mean, there are a lot of shamans who play Doomhammer. Yeah.
All right, so I think that about wraps it up for this deck. It's actually quite interesting, really unique. I can't wait to get my hands on it and do some testing on it.
Yeah, it's a nice mid-range deck that is still under construction. Like it's 1 week old basically, You could try stuff like Shade of Naxxramas in it. I didn't try it yet. I don't think it would work that great, to be honest. I don't know how you think about that. I don't think it would work that great.
No, definitely not. All right. If you'd like to follow Moonstar, you can follow him on Twitter at Chrissy F86 or on Twitch Moonstar TV.
Thanks for mentioning that.
He's also a member of Lucky Draw. They do have a website that is coming soon, fully fleshed out for everybody to enjoy. So when I have another one of their members on, I'll be sure to give you all that information. All right. So, Moon, this is a part of the show where you get to thank people, whatever, shout outs. Before we get to that, could you kind of show everybody your shirt there? Because it's kind of awesome.
Oh, yeah. I have actually a well-matched shirt. Let me stand up real quick.
Oh, yeah. Everybody get jelly now.
I created the shirt for Gamescom, and I actually even asked Soraya if I'm allowed to actually create that shirt and wear it at Gamescom. And yeah, she agreed on Twitter, and therefore I created the shirt.
Just you cannot sell it.
Exactly. That's exactly what she said. Just you cannot sell it.
So when are you gonna send me mine? Yeah, that's what I thought.
So coming to the shout out, I obviously really want to shout out, make a shout out to my team, to Lucky Draw. We are really new team who is founded by a couple of old Mana Grant members that you know, like Tim Bolt and the recently and Washhammer, who recently had great success in the HyperX well-played Invitational tournament.
Oh yeah, those are two great people. Sucks that you got RDU on the first poll.
And we also picked up some other great German players. We picked up Horrorwind, who's also a streamer as well, and he really tries to get into the competitive scene as well. And then we picked up Karan, who is a really good hunter. He played hunter, I don't know how long. it's like me playing mage, and he even played more hunter than I played mage.
Probably about as much as I played hunter.
could be. Yeah, you're also a really famous hunter player. Yeah. And then another shout out to some people that maybe might still know me from back then when this Mage Aggro deck was around and I could perform quite well in a couple of tournaments. I had a long break, but I will try to make my appearance again in the Hearthstone competitive scene, and I hope I can have some success.
Well, I hope to see.
Great.
I hope to see you having some success and seeing more of you, man. It's been great talking with you. I haven't talked with you in a long time. This has been really refreshing. I really do appreciate it. Anyway,
I really appreciate it as well.
If you like this show, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If there's anybody you'd like to see, let us know. And of course, don't forget to follow Moon. You can follow me as well at Shiv or at the Shiv1. Wow, I can't even remember my own Twitter. And that's pretty much it for the show today, ladies and gentlemen. Also, please do not forget, every Friday, MassEnchant has a Speed Swiss that starts at 7 p.m. EDT for the NA region. Check it out, $20 prize of BattleNet funds. Awesome. This is the Shiv saying bye-bye. Moon?
Bye-bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for having me on the show. Was a great pleasure.
All right, bye-bye.
Is it